It's 9:06, your WRMN morning show, the first shift on this nice sunny Thursday morning, and hope you enjoyed the show so far. We have a good interview coming up right now as we have the Madam Chair, Kane County Board, who has come over here to join us today. In the studio, Corinne Pierog, and we're going to talk about the 0.75% retail tax referendum. And that's going to be on the ballot for all the people of Kane County this coming, now, just about, as it is early voting time. Yeah, April 1st is actually Election Day. We have a couple of ways to reach us if you want to this next 25 minutes that we have Ms. Pierog with us. It's YouTube at WRMN Radio on YouTube. I'll keep an eye on the comments. We have the Image 360 information line, 505-926-1410. And we may take a phone call, 847-931-1410. We'll play it by ear on that. Time's going to go fast here. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Thanks for coming in. I guess before we get into it, you just want to give us just a little bit of your background, like how long you've been on the Kane County Board, Madam Chair, things of that nature, real fast?
Sure. So, resident of Kane County for now 25 years. I currently live in Batavia. And love Kane County, of course I would. I'm in my second term as Kane County Board Chairwoman, and I'm thrilled and honored to have this position. Work very, very hard to make sure that I listen and represent the needs of Kane County, both its employees, 1,300 employees, as well as our 515,000 plus residents.
515,000 plus. Kane County, second largest county in the state of Illinois, right?
We're the fifth largest.
Fifth largest, okay. So today we're talking about the 0.75% tax referendum, and it's going to be on the ballot for everybody, every resident of Kane County, right?
Right, that is correct.
Do you want to just start by explaining exactly what that is and how it will impact Kane County if it's passed?
Why don't I give just a slight little background?
Sure.
When I got elected, the Kane County was in a structural deficit, which simply means that in 2020, it had been pretty evident that the revenue was not keeping up with expenses, and that was just at the time that COVID was starting to peak. So doing a little bit of research in 2018, and this is available online if any of your listeners would like to do their own research.
Okay.
When my predecessor was in office, and we had a different chief financial officer, so totally different team managing Kane County. But in 2018, in the budget highlights, it says the very first sentence, creating a structurally balanced budget remains challenging due to increased expenditures and reductions of various revenue streams. So we have had a historic deficit in spending. Now, one of the reasons that we've been able to keep the budget balanced is that we had either CARES Act money that came in from the federal government, or on its heels because of the financial impact that caused by COVID and the starting to increase inflation. We also had a great deal of money coming in from the American Rescue Plan. And what this did is it underwrote all of the work that was being done by the sheriff, as well as any kind of just help tasks with mitigation of air conditioning, keeping the jail safe, and any public safety efforts. Now that money is drying up, and it all has to be expended by 2026. So as that was underwriting the additional costs that were being incurred by the county, that money is no longer going to be available.
And so therefore you're trying to find a new way to generate a little bit of revenue, and this 0.75% sales tax referendum is that way, right?
That is correct. So I mentioned this, started talking and doing some research. Again, I got elected in office. My first month was in December, and I had the fiscal 21 budget, which was passed by the previous board. So coming in with the new board, I started taking a look at how could we possibly not impact through property tax, but other ways of creating a tax revenue for Kane County. And this was presented. So the board has been discussing this since 2021. And then last year in September, with a bipartisan vote, 15 in favor, 4 opposed, there were 19 board members at that vote, they passed it. So here we are.
So the referendum is on the ballot.
It is on the ballot, and this is for the voters to decide.
Right.
Unlike a property tax levy or the gas tax levy, this is something that the voters can decide if they would like to do this or not. Now, we have other choices. We can continue raising property tax, which is not flexible. Once it's on there, it stays on there, and it gets compounded annually every year, just like the city of Elgin's taxes, just like the school board's taxes. They're compounded. They go up every year to keep up with the cost of living. This one is a very flexible tax. If you choose not to go shopping, or you don't need anything that month, or you don't want to go out to eat at restaurants, you're not going to be paying the tax. But anybody who comes in here to Kane County who enjoys our amenities, our stores, will have to share that cost with Kane County.
Public safety is the main beneficiary of the tax.
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate on exactly what that means?
Well, public safety, we have the coroner, we have Office of Emergency Management,
Yeah.
we have 911, we have the public defender, we have court services, we have the circuit clerk, we have the state's attorney, and of course we have the sheriff. All of those are going to be beneficiaries of this money. The money is directly allocated towards public safety. And there are a couple things. I'd like to just talk for a couple seconds about this. Public safety is one of the paramount things. Safe streets, safe environment, safe communities. The number one thing that taxpayers, residents are concerned about. You want to move into a neighborhood, into a community that's safe, that your children can go outside and play safely, that you can go to the store and go to the parking lot without feeling like you're going to get accosted, that you can stop your car at a traffic light and not feel that people are going to be coming to beg money from you. These are all things that are very, very important for our residents. And why this has been a traditional, and I don't want to speak party affiliations, but why this has been such a strong asset now for the Republican Party. Public safety was always something very important. And now it seems that they're much more concerned about the cost of things. But this is a requirement for making sure that Kane County is economically sound, that we can bring people here into Kane County who want to be here. No one wants to move into a community that's not safe. So this to me is very, very important. And I have examples of this. Of course, the other one, when people come here, safe schools, great schools. And we certainly have great schools here in Kane County. That's the reason I moved here with my young family 20 some odd years ago, because of the schools. And also knowing that my son could walk from my home to his elementary school, and I didn't have to worry about it. But unfortunately, and this makes me really, really sad. I'm a former teacher.
Okay. And
as a former teacher, I absolutely have a care for children. I feel that children are our future. It's our job as adults to protect them. Well, because of COVID and because of circumstances that I frankly can't understand, there is an increase, certainly an increase, in domestic violence. There's also an increase in child pornography. Now, when we look at potential budget cuts for the county, if this does not get passed, and that is sincerely going to be happening if this doesn't get passed, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the reduction of some of the wonderful programs that our state's attorney and sheriff have put together. One of the things that I certainly am greatly in support of, and it comes with a cost, is our child pornography area, to go online to make sure that these sexual predators are identified and arrested. But, do we have those in Kane County? Well, I've got a couple of news clips here,
Yeah.
very, very recent. So let me share just the headlines with you.
Yeah, I've been seeing quite a bit of stories come about sexual predators in Kane County recently.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I have.
We're going after them, and I don't want that budget cut. That budget line for those people who are working there need to be enforced, need to be increased. 84-year-old man charged with sexually assaulting 5 minors. Where does this person live? He lives in Carpentersville. 73-year-old North Aurora man faces child pornography charges.
Right.
Yesterday, reading the paper, this is all coming from the Daily Herald. Man gets 109 years for sex abuse, child pornography, here in Kane County. A couple of weeks ago, I read in the paper that the head of the PTO at a middle school in St. Charles was also arrested for child pornography because he was soliciting young boys and grooming them. This is absurd. We had one of the attorneys come and talk to us from the Child Protection Unit. 24 adult board members were in tears, as well as the attorney, talking about these cases. Public safety is paramount to a healthy Kane County, and this is what I am fighting for. And this is my true belief on why this is so important. Safe roads, safe schools, and a safe community. Now, the outcome of this is that we're looking at, as you know, we have a brand new economic development organization, the first one in Kane County, and it's very new. It's still being formed. We've just got the bylaws passed, and we're moving forward with that. But because of the attractiveness of this area, we have the #1 in Site Selection magazine in this region for site selection for our businesses and industry. We're #1 in the country. And I want to make sure that Kane County maintains that attractiveness to ask businesses to come here to establish their industries here so that we can continue employing people, continue educating people, and then increase our tax base.
We have Corinne Pierog with us, Madam Chair, Kane County Board, for about 10 more minutes. We do have one phone call coming in at 847-931-1410. This guy's been around Kane County for a long time. And do you mind taking a phone call?
Oh, no, absolutely.
That'd be okay. You may have to put the headsets on to hear the caller.
Oh, sure. Here we go.
It's 847-931-1410. We start with good old Bob this morning. Hey, Bob, welcome.
Good morning. Listening to your caller there, it would seem as though if we vote against this thing, we're going to be inviting the devil. The fact of the matter is that this is a precedent that we do not want to endorse. We are going to establish another taxing body, is what it amounts to. That in itself is bad enough. Once we authorize it, they can change the rate, just like they can change the sales tax rate. And I think a lot of this is a result of the fact that they are anticipating less government funding, and so they have to make it up somehow, somewhere. And I can tell you that this is not a good idea. I have been involved in this aspect of government, and I know that expansion has taken place in emergency management. They have more people involved there at the county level than they've had in past years, and so their expenses have gone up. But this should be and will continue to be part of the budget for the county. So if the county wants to increase sales taxes, let them put that on the ballot. Let's not establish a new taxing body that we have to contribute to annually. End of conversation.
Yeah, well, thank you for your comments, Bob. Appreciate it. Any response to that, Pierog?
Yes, Bob, thank you so much for the call. I do appreciate it. This will not be a new taxing body. We're not establishing a new form of government. This will go into the general fund, but the money is dedicated to public safety, and that is by state statute, and that, of course, will be audited. The other thing is that we have to make sure that we are keeping up with expenses that are truly out of our control. Now, we do know we have the Safety Act that has been passed, and the impact on that has been that the court system and the state's attorney and the sheriff are impacted by the Safety Act. Our courts now are open 24/7, no longer Monday through Friday and an occasional Saturday court. They are now open 24/7. They're also an increase in our jail population. Instead of a decrease, it's actually an increase. But the other thing that we have to be aware of, and again, this is something that we've all had to do as homeowners, is that our utility bills have also gone up. The cost of gas, the cost of services, the cost of maintenance of our buildings. And because it has been such a tight budget for so many years, we've had delayed maintenance on our buildings. Roofs have leaked, air conditioning units have broken. We've had pipes that are just filled with, I don't even know what's inside of those pipes, and they're clogged. Heating systems that do not work, ventilation that is not adequate. So all of these things needed to be repaired, and it comes with, unfortunately, a higher cost than it had been maybe 10 years ago. So the cost of inflation is something that we have to be very, very sensitive to. And making sure also that we maintain good employees. Now, I'm sure you have a good knowledge of business, and you know that not only do employees cost for training, but once you train them, you want to maintain them. You want to keep a good workforce. But unfortunately, with our young attorneys, and that now has changed, they would come in and they would work for a very, very modest rate, get the training, and then leave, not for the private sector, but for other counties, including smaller counties like Kendall, McHenry, for a much higher rate of pay. So there'd be this constant churn and burn. But right now, because we have adequate pay for our staff, they stay on and become experienced attorneys better serving Kane County. So this has all been something that has come up in the last 4 years, which has caused an increase in costs. So that's infrastructure support, which is badly needed, as well as making sure that everybody's compensated at a fair rate.
9:24, we have about 5 minutes left with Corinne Pierog, the Madam Chair from the Kane County Board. And next half hour, we'll talk with Jamie Mosser, State's Attorney, who's here to talk about human trafficking a little bit, something that you mentioned a few minutes ago. In the interview. So we do have a couple of people outside that are obviously going to vote no. Some critics of the referendum argue that instead of raising taxes, the county should focus on improving how it manages its current budget. How do you respond to those critics? Because I think that's probably what the critics outside are saying.
How to manage the existing budget. As I mentioned before, much of this money that has been increased over the last couple of years has been infrastructure support. We have an old yellow house that is one of the oldest houses in Kane County, whose all wood construction. The soffits were falling apart. Literally, they were rotting because there wasn't enough money to repair them. So new roof has been put on, the soffits have been repaired, and no longer is leaking coming through, which causes mold. But that continued on through not all of our buildings, but many of our buildings. There was asbestos carpeting, asbestos tiles at Building A that had to be repaired. We even had to take out the old pews in the boardroom when I arrived from the original chapel, built in 1943. They were the original Catholic pews. Those were removed so we could buy chairs so that people could have more space to accommodate. They wouldn't feel like they'd be at a church praying.
Yeah.
So these small and little things have happened. We are replacing the windows in the 3rd Street Courthouse because they're from the 1970s and they leak. And those letting in bugs, air, rain. So those are things we're looking at doing right now. The air conditioning units at the courts, a 30-year-old building, in the jail, 30-year-old building, they had not been replaced. All of those are being replaced as well. But we are a low-debt county. For all of the expenses for all the cholera counties, we are the lowest per capita in tax rate, significantly so. Our property tax has not been raised for over 12 years, and we did raise it last year, which meant that there was a $2 million increase in our budget that was spread out amongst all the taxpayers. Now, I'd like to say that if we take a look and if we raise property taxes, which the board has the authority to do without the permission of the taxpayers, we can continue doing that. But that will take us a very long time to be able to make up the structural deficit. Because of that money not being raised a little bit at a time for so many years, $22 million was left on the table. We saved the taxpayers $22 million, but it has come back to us. So either we have to make $29 million worth of budget cuts to make sure that our current budget matches revenue. We're going to be laying off a significant amount of people, which we're going to start addressing this month of what that's going to be looking like. And with reduction of a significant amount of people across the board, there's going to be, because there's not that many people, less people, a reduction in services, including with public safety.
Well, we have about 2 minutes left, but the bottom line with all this is that the Kane County Board voted 15-4
Correct.
to put this referendum on the ballot so that the voters can make that ultimate decision, right?
That's correct.
That's, to me, I'm kind of a fan of referendums myself, as long as the entire population is educated properly as to what both sides represent, right? What it means if you vote yes and what it means if you vote no. And that's why the Kane County Board has been working hard to go to these different communities for the last couple of months and have these seminars.
That's correct. And thank you for that, Bob. So what this means is that if you go shopping and you buy a dollar's worth of items, you'll pay 3/4 of a penny for this tax.
Yeah.
If you spend $100, you'll pay 75 cents on this. And then everyone else can do the math. So it's certainly a modest amount that is spread about throughout Kane County for residents and non-residents alike. So I'd love to use this one example. In Aurora, there's the Chicago Premium Outlet Mall. It's one of our largest taxing bases. So during the Christmas season, people come from all over northern Illinois to go shopping there because it's such a large, wonderful outlet mall. So people come in from Cook County, and they'll pay a little tax. People come in from DuPage County to enjoy the stores and maybe get a bite to eat. They'll pay the tax. So this is a shared tax. And what it means is that we're not relying heavily on property tax, but now we're going to be relying, like DuPage County, a little bit more on sales tax.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming in, taking the time to join us, talk about it a little bit.
Really appreciate it.
Field the phone call, and so it's been nice talking to you today. And
thank you.
It's Kane County Board Madam Chair Corinne Pierog here with us today on WRMN. And in the next half hour, we'll be joined by Jamie Mosser. She is here. She is the Kane County State's Attorney, so stay tuned for more great radio from great guests on a Thursday morning right here on WRMN.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.